First situation, distressed asset valuation. So if we have to do the valuation in case of a distressed asset, we need to find out as to what are the peculiarities of a distressed business. So what is the meaning of distressed business? The meaning of distressed business is number one, erosion of net worth. That means this business, its net worth is either completely eroded or mostly eroded or generally eroded. Number two, this business is continuously incurring losses. So any business which is supposed to be a distressed business will be so when this business is incurring losses continuously. And remember, if a business is incurring losses continuously, what is the end result? The end result is this business has got no cash available for purchasing raw material, no cash available for working capital. And since there is no cash available for working capital, and remember, working capital is called as a working capital because if this working capital is not there in the business, working of the business comes to a grinding halt. And that is why working capital is known as working capital. So a distressed asset is one which is having lack of working capital besides incurring losses. No money for working capital, and current and non-current liabilities are continuously accumulating. So a distressed business will by default will have its current liabilities accumulating, and it will also have its non-current liabilities also accumulating. That means becoming outstanding or overdue. And why? Because business is not generating enough EBITDA, business is not generating enough cash so as to take care of its obligation. So friends, these are the peculiarities in case of a distressed assets. Of course, one can add much more than what I have shared with you, but at this point in time, our objective is to understand the whole thing within the given time that we have. So how do we do the valuation of a distressed asset? तो अभी डिस्ट्रेस्ड एसेट के वैल्यूएशन के लिए हमने क्या किया, हमने उसकी पिक्युलरिटीज मालूम कर ली, और पिक्युलरिटीज मालूम करके हमने क्या मालूम किया. अब देखिए इसमें और भी बहुत सारी बातें आ जाएंगी कि कंपनी की टेक्नोलॉजी आउटडेटेड हो गई है, कंपनी के पास में डिमांड नहीं है, कंपनी जो प्रोडक्ट बनाती थी वो प्रोडक्ट मार्केट से ही खत्म हो गया, राइट. सो ऑल दोज रीजंस कैन ऑल्सो बी देयर, एंड ऑल दोज रीजंस विल ऑल्सो डिसाइड and help you in determining as to what premise should you take for the valuation of a distressed assets. So based on the peculiarities that you gather, if you come to a conclusion that this company has got no scope of revival, so obviously in that case the only premise that you can use for the purpose of valuation is liquidation premise, and there is no other possibility of reviving it. But when you look at the peculiarities, when you study the situation, and if you realize that the product is good, market is there, working capital is missing, and some debottlenecking or some plant and machinery is required, some infusion of additional capital will take care of the working capital requirement, and this capital will also take care of the fixed asset investment, additional fixed investment, and that will help this company to gather momentum and start generating positive cash flow. So if you come to that conclusion, then your approach will be to do the valuation using the income approach. So अब अगर आपको income approach यूज करना है स्ट्रेस्ड एसेट के वैल्यूएशन के लिए, और आप इनकम अप्रोच क्यों यूज कर रहे हैं स्ट्रेस्ड एसेट के वैल्यूएशन के लिए, क्योंकि आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग में इन योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग एज अ प्रोफेशनल वैल्यूअर यू आर कमिंग टू ए कंक्लूजन दैट दिस कंपनी हैज गॉट द पोटेंशियल ऑफ रिवाइवल. And not only this company has got a potential of revival, but there is a gentleman who is waiting outside to acquire this company. He is prepared to infuse additional capital. So when both these things are available, you will do the valuation of a distressed asset not as a liquidation but as a going concern. So what will you do? You will realize that income capitalization is of no relevance in this case. And please understand, as I explained a little while ago, why interest capitalization is not of relevance in this case, for the simple reason because 4-5 साल से कंपनी लॉस कर रही है. जब 4-5 साल से कंपनी लॉस कर रही है तो इनकम ही नहीं है. जब इनकम ही नहीं है तो इनकम कैपिटलाइजेशन मेथड को यूज करने का कोई पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है. सो व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट थिंग दैट यू वुड डू, एंड दैट नेक्स्ट थिंग दैट यू कैन डू is to use the discounted cash flow method, DCF method. So what you will have to do, you will have to then start, either you ask the company client to do it, or you help the client with this additional work that you will need to do, and you will have to use your expertise, knowledge, experience and everything. एंड आप क्या करेंगे, आपको कंपनी के प्रोजेक्टेड कैश फ्लोज तैयार करने पड़ेंगे, कंपनी के प्रोजेक्टेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स तैयार करने पड़ेंगे, कंपनी का आपको प्रोजेक्टेड फ्यूचर फ्री कैश फ्लो फॉर कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा. बिकॉज इफ यू हैव टू फाइंड वैल्यू of a distressed asset which has a potential of revival, obviously you will have to use the discounted cash flow method. And if you have to use the discounted cash flow method, you will need to do the estimation of free cash flows for future, and then you will have to decide as to whether you can use which method you can use. Obviously in a situation like this you will use the two-stage discounting model. Two-stage discounting model, that means you will calculate the cash flow for the explicit period, you will calculate the cash flow for the terminal period, and then of course you will also need to come to an understanding as to what should be the cost of capital for this company. Again, you will have to use your judgment, knowledge, expertise and things like that, and find out as to what should be the cost of capital. Using that cost of capital, you will find out the present value of future cash flows for the explicit period as well as for the terminal period. Add them together and that becomes value of this distressed asset or distressed company. So this is how you will do the valuation in case of distressed asset. You can of course use the cost approach or the asset approach in case if you see that there is no possibility of any revival. As far as the market approach is concerned, in case of distressed asset, I really do not see any possibility of using market approach. And why is no possibility of using market approach? Because for you to use the market approach, there has to be similarities between the company that you are valuing, and you should be able to find out a similar kind of company. So it is very difficult to find a company which is dying, to find a company of similar type which is also dying, which also has done the valuation. So I don't see there is any possibility of using the market approach. You can certainly use the cost approach and the asset approach, and you will definitely use the income approach. And under the income approach, you will use the discounted cash flow method. So this is how you will do the valuation as far as the distressed asset is concerned. After the distressed asset, let's go to the second situation.